Well, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy was in Northeast Louisiana today. Our team coverage begins with Devontae Martin, who is live from Ruston. And what was he doing in Ruston today, Devontae?
Jennifer, Senator Cassidy spoke at the Ruston-Lincoln Chamber of Commerce Capitol Luncheon and attended the reopening of a street. Senator Bill Cassidy visited Ruston Monday afternoon, where he discussed federal support for local infrastructure and transportation during the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. Later, Cassidy attended the celebration of upgrades to Monroe Street. A project that was partially funded by a federal grant in 2019. He says the project is an example of how federal investments can improve local communities.
It is an example of when local officials decide to take advantage of those resources coming from Washington, which are our resources. You know, there are tax dollars. When they take advantage of that, they can do something which can transform a community. I'm told this street used to be a tough street. Now it's a safe street.
Ruston Mayor Ronnie Walker also shared how these upgrades will improve the quality of life for students at Louisiana Tech. Does that make it safer around the area or anything?
Oh, absolutely. We have so many students nowadays who want to walk to class or ride a bicycle to class. So every street that we redo or any street that we build a new street, we add a 5-foot sidewalk on one side, an 8-foot bicycle trail on the other side.
Senator Cassidy added that these types of projects are just the beginning, with more infrastructure improvements coming to Northeast Louisiana.
I think the best days of Louisiana are before us. And the infrastructure bill right now is paying to cap abandoned oil and gas wells in Northeast Louisiana.
Cassidy told me that he expects to be in Northeast Louisiana again soon. Reporting in Ruston, Devontae Martin, KNOE 8 News.